Good evening, YouTube. People have started catching on that everything good about my videos is completely ripped off from AVE. Faced with the reality that I'm nothing but a spoof, a copycat, a cheap Wish.com knockoff, I've nothing to lose by going all in.
Gentlemen, welcome back to the shop, and today, a treat especial.
Sorry, something in my throat there. I just got this, the cheapest 2,000-pound winch.
In the world.
Don't need these. And here is your new winch. And in here is your wiring harness and remote control. Take a look at that later. I got this, as well as the mounting plate, for just $47 with the 20% off Father's Day coupon. So let's crack her open and see how the hell they can sell this thing for so freaking cheap. Big beefy motor. We'll set that aside. Check it out in a sec. Just one time. Pretty tight. Rounded out in record time. That's just gonna break. Last attempt before I go scorched earth on these bastards. Rounded. If you want to keep DIYers out on a budget, good news, you don't need security torques anymore, just regular fasteners. Malevolence and incompetence can be indistinguishable. Either way, I'm going to have to use the nuclear option. Next issue is this gearbox housing. It seems to be made of some sort of metallic cheese. Unfortunately, these screws are all that contain the raw power of this Chinesium motor, and the motor depends on their ability to provide clamping force. Well, if these cheddar cheese threads ever give out, throw the whole winch in the trash. Shielded roller skate bearing on the front, which is nice. Most winches just use bushings. They seem to use these bearings in every Harbor Freight product. I bet they save money buying in bulk and just throw them at everything. And here it is. Let's hope its true beauty lies within. Ugh, that sound. Well, shiver my timbers and call me Nancy. It looks like a passable gearbox, actually. Stamped steel gear retainer, and the Planet gears themselves look like the same cheese metal as the housing. They certainly smell like cheese, but that just could be this grease. Still, at least everything in here is metal. That's a pleasant surprise for $47. Just gonna add a few blobs of mom's-friendly industrial grease in here, which will do absolutely nothing to stop a tooth from stripping, but it makes you feel like you've improved it, you know? This driven gear here is my main concern. It seems to be made of a much harder steel than the driver gear, and if I don't baby it while engaging and disengaging neutral, I'm going to chew these teeth out and wish I'd spent my $47 on beer. Onto the motor. Seems a little small for 2,000 pounds. Here is the Stator. Now that's an interesting commutator brush arrangement. Usually they're on the shaft, not facing the underside like this. Other than increased surface area, I'm not sure why they'd go this route. Maybe someone in the comments can let me know. I'm assuming the design is just copied off of Warn's blueprints, because their intellectual property. Zero epoxy on the armature windings. That keeps them from loosening up and wiggling around over time, so that's a bummer. Not a high-end motor, that's for sure. Yoink. Here's the plastic brush holder. Good springs, but not much waterproofing to keep them from rusting up. Probably an easy thing to check if it craps out after getting wet. No bearing on this end, of course, just a simple cheap shaft bushing. I really like this mechanism. Just a shaft with a roll pin. Pull it out, turn it, and you're disengaged. Is it pretty? No, but it's simple. And I like simple. Standard Harbor Freight hook on the end, including the chintzy latch that won't make it a year, but it'll do. The crimp looks fine, nothing concerning there. The cable does look a little thin. What do we got here? 530 seconds. Yeah, that's pretty thin. The Warn uses a 3/16 cable. I know that because I just replaced it. The controller looks extremely phallic. Fits great in the hand like one, too. Everything is dicks. 50 amp non-replaceable fuse for you safety bitches out there. And speaking of safety, free condoms. The insulation is cheap PVC, which is going to break down under UV exposure, and it gets stiff as, well, when it gets cold. But once it's installed, flexibility isn't really a priority, so a worthwhile penny pinched there. The testicle buttons are pretty mushy, so there's probably no contactor in here. Nope, no contactor. Just a massive momentary push-button switch, which is really disappointing. I was hoping this was a contactor so I could use a smaller switch on the dash to control the winch, rather than have a giant yellow wang hanging out of my tractor. I'll have to get creative. No seals or waterproofing on the controller housing. Best to keep it dry. Now, $6 of those $47 was this winch plate. What this is pure, unadulterated, false advertising. Now, I'm no mathologist or anything, but this says it fits 2,000-pound winches, so let me just double-check my math. Yep, that says 2,000, all right. Now, I could have obviously fabric cobbled a bracket that would work, but this is $6 and it's guaranteed to fit, so why waste the effort? Here's the rub. All these Swiss cheese holes and no two line up with the bolt pattern on the winch. Doesn't matter which way you hold it, they're all just a little bit off. So, being no stranger to shame and humility, I look at the instructions. Let's see what I'm doing wrong. It says right here, this plate is designed to be used with 2,500 and 3,500 pound winches. They got me again, folks. It even says I'm not allowed to drill or modify the winch plate to make it fit. You can't screw something up and then tell me I can't fix it myself. Who do you think you are, Apple? Don't buy this winch plate, folks. Total scam. Now I've got to get this Badlands put back together. Drill and tap some holes. And then we'll get this Warn A2000 off my Honda here. We'll take it apart, do some maintenance, and a little comparison. And this is what a Warn 2,000-pound winch looks like. Old school, made in the United States of America, back when that meant something. Right away, you can tell which one is more skookum. First of all, the Warn has a 3/16 cable. A little thicker there. You can see it actually warns against using anything smaller than a 3/16 cable, like, for example, the 5/32 cable on the Badland. It also has these extra strengthening rods here, which the Badland skips. Here's what looks like a 4/3 scale version of the Badland's motor. Minor improvements like the bronze bushing here and the Bakelite brush holder. I'm equally disappointed in the weatherproofing, but maybe I'm just overestimating the power of water intrusion. Bigger springs, too. The armature has a double D shaft instead of splines. It's cheaper and easier to manufacture that way, but you get fewer indexing options, so score one Harbor Freight. However, see how these windings are all epoxied? And also, see how clean these com bars are after a quarter-century of use? Yeah, this motor's going to last forever. Not sure I can say the same for the Badland. If you have any old tools with brushed motors that aren't chooching like they used to, invest in one of these commutator cleaner stones. This exact $13 stone has saved me literally thousands of dollars on industrial electric motors, drills, starter motors, even my trusty Dremel. You might think emery cloth could do the same job, but that crap leaves conductive dust behind, which inside a motor is no bueno. Mwah. It also helps bed in brushes. Had to break out the standard bits for this old American girl. And now, you'll see what a real Planetary Gear Set looks like. Oh no! Shocking! The teeth on the ring gear are just plastic. Wait a minute. The whole housing's plastic. I mean, the gears, the important parts, they're steel, but that's embarrassing. I think I'd rather have the housing made of cheese metal than good plastic. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments. What would you prefer? No bearing on the front end either? Just another bushing. And here's the drive shaft for the spool. Seems a little skinny to me. I don't know, I'm seeing a lot of red flags with this Warn winch I wasn't expecting. But it's as old as I am and still works great. I beat the snot out of it, so I don't know, maybe I'm just lucky? It pains me to say it, but based on what I'm seeing in this gearbox, Harbor Freight wins. Thanks for watching.